welcome to Psych 101, Elements of Psychology. This section will deal with ethical issues in human research. Ethical principles are needed to guide the work of psychologists, both as researchers and as professionals. In this section and the next one, the ethical treatment of human beings and animals that participate in studies and experiments will be presented and discussed. This present section deals with the ethical principles involving human beings, and the next section looks at the ethical principles in animal research. Now, there are two key reasons why ethics are needed when it comes to research and professional psychological practice. One is that it protects the well-being of the human beings that have volunteered to take part in the study. And then two, it also protects the integrity and the professional outlook of the researcher. So that is very, very important. Ethics must be considered at each stage of the research. Every stage of the research, ethics should be considered, from the conception of the idea of what you want to study to the design of the study, the data collection, the analysis, and all that. Ethics should be considered. So it is very, very important that psychologists ask certain questions and find answers to them when it comes to research as far as ethics is concerned. They need to ask themselves, are we putting our participants at risk? Is our experimental treatment harmful? Is the information we gather from our experiment worth the potential risks and harm to these participants? So we will look at some ethical principles that have evolved over time, especially those that have been formulated by the American Psychological Association, their Code of Ethics. And basically, their Code of Ethics dwells on 5 general principles for conduct of research. The first one is that you should weigh the benefit of the research against the cost or the harm, the possible harm that could happen to the participants. You should weigh it. Is it necessary that human beings should be subjected to this treatment in the study? And then 2, we should take responsibility of the welfare of the participants that we engage in the study. And then 3, we should maintain high level of integrity. We should be fair to the participants. And we should also think about justice. Are we being nice to them? Do we think what we are doing is the right thing to do? And then finally, we should respect the right and dignity of people that take part in the study. We have to subject them to humane treatment. We don't let them suffer unnecessary pain and stuff like that. So moving on and look at the various ethical principles as formulated by the APA, that's the American Psychological Society Code of Ethics. First is that before you do any research, you need to seek institutional approval. Researchers must submit their protocol or their research proposal to an institution that will review whatever they want to do. They will look at it carefully and decide whether there is the need for human beings or even animals to be subjected to any such treatment in the study. So even in this university, we have several of the ethics committees here. Those of us in psychology, we have one that has been formed for the humanities. You can't write your project work unless you submit your proposal to them and you have a full clearance from them. So that it's something that will have to be done. Institutional approval is very key as far as ethics is concerned. The second principle that we should also be concerned with is informed consent. Informed consent deals with, telling your prospective participants every detail about the study, the step procedures that will be applied to them, the possible harm that they will be subjected to, and allowing them to willingly decide to take part in the study. to willingly decide to take part to the study. So all facts that may potentially influence the participants' willingness to participate in the research must be told to them beforehand so that they can give informed consent. So people have to agree, and it should be in writing that yes, they have agreed to take part in the study. And even if they have done that, they have every right to withdraw at any stage of the study, even if they have agreed. Even after the study, they have a right to tell you that, no, don't include whatever I have said in this study. I want you to destroy it. I want you to take mine out. That is their right. So informed consent is very, very key. And if you are dealing with people that are below 18 are not considered as full adults. So you need consent from their relevant, caregivers or legal representatives. So extra consent needs to be given if participants are to be recorded or their images and pictures are to be used. You need to do that, especially if you want to engage in this. The other issue when it comes to ethics that we should look at is the issue of confidentiality and anonymity. Confidentiality has to do with the practice of keeping strictly secret and private the information or whatever data that you obtain from your participants. You need to keep it very secret, and that is confidentiality. Whatever they tell you is between you and them. No other third party should be aware of it. And then anonymity has to do with the fact that whatever an individual has mentioned to you, you should not identify them to their views when presenting your report. So anonymity is the practice of ensuring that an individual's name is not directly associated with the information or the measurements that you have obtained from those individuals. And this is very, very important. You don't go presenting your data, or when I talk to Mr. This, and this is what he said and all that. You don't. You have to take their names off. You can just give them some pseudonyms, Mr. A or participant B, participant this. You can give them some code names and things like that. So that is a serious ethical issue that have to be looked at. And then the other issue that APA is so much concerned about has to do with client-patient relationship, student-subordinate research participants. If you are a student and a lecturer wants to do a research with the students, sometimes the students feel that if they don't take part in the study, the lecturer will victimize them. Sometimes a clinical psychologist wants to do a research on the patients. The patients feel that if they don't take part in it, they will not be treated fairly. So we have to be very careful when we are dealing with a research with people that we know them and people that are vulnerable, that cannot say no to us. We have to be very, very careful. They may feel that taking part in the research or the study is a sort of requirement on their part, but the fact that they've come to you. So we should be very careful. We should not force them to take part in the study. They have their right to say yes or to say no in the study. Another thing when it comes to research has to do with offering inducements for research participants. APA's stand is that nobody should be paid for taking part in a study. Financial inducements, should not be encouraged at all. Should not be encouraged at all. We should not be paying people because they want to take part in the study. We also saw what happened, somewhere last year when they were trying to do the Ebola trial in the Volta region. Because they were giving people very nice mobile phone and 200 Ghana, people were willing to do it. But that is a very dangerous thing. So monetary inducement should not be encouraged at all when it comes to research. It's not ethical to do that. And then the use of deception in research is another thing that is not allowed in research. You don't deceive people in order to take part in the study. You have to tell them so clearly what will be involved in the study, the role they will play, what the outcome will be and all that. When it becomes necessary, very, very necessary to use some form of deception Perhaps where if you tell people the real intention of the research, they will tend to give you answers that you want. And so you might like to kind of hide the real intention of the research. When you do that, APA requirement is that at the end of the research, you debrief them. So debriefing is very key. You tell them really what they have gone through and whether you have deceived them along the way or not. So debriefing is used to remove misconception that deception may have created or any misconception that may have arisen from the research. So that is very, very important. Once it has become necessary for you to use deception, there must always be a debriefing at the end of the study. And then when it comes to the aspect of animals, they should be treated carefully. They should be treated carefully. You must seek approval. If you want to use animal in research, you must also seek ethical approval from an institutional review board. They have to look at your proposal and then take a decision as to whether animals are truly needed in this study or not. You must also get the animals lawfully. You don't go just pick somebody's animal, or if those animals, you need some licenses before you have access to them, you have to make sure you go through that. And you must provide them with humane treatment. You must provide them with humane treatment. And if something has gone wrong, or it is a requirement of the research that after the study, the animals have to be killed, you have to kill them in the most humane manner. In the most humane manner. So these are some of the key ethical issues that we need to be concerned with as far as psychological research is concerned. Thank you.